On December 7th, 1914, Pope Benedict XV suggested to the warring states of World War I that they agree to an armistice, so that the soldiers could celebrate the winter holidays. All countries refused, and the war continued. It was a war so long and so violent that it would send ripples throughout the world and through time, causing many wars to follow and turning the 20th century into the most violent and bloody era of the human race. Yet, on December 25, 1914, soldiers on either side of the front line climbed from their trenches, walked into no man's land, and celebrated. They drank, they shared Christmas carols, they played soccer. Without regard to empires, countries, or leaders, people came together and decided for at least one day there was no war. The year is 1949, 4 years after the end of World War II, and 1 year before the Korean War, which would begin another 2.5 decades of Americans fighting overseas. Joseph Campbell publishes his book, The Hero of a Thousand Faces, better known as The Hero's Journey. His intent was to describe a set of abstract norms shared between radically different cultures in an attempt to establish that humanity as a whole shares an inherent culture, which he called the monomyth. Yet the monomyth idea comes under great criticism, due in one part because the concept became wildly popular as a tool for crafting stories after being credited by George Lucas for the creation of Star Wars, as well as for not using enough distinct cultural stories to establish the monomyth's core structure. In spite of the critiques, the monomyth established itself as a cultural touchstone. Journey as a game takes Joseph Campbell's theory of the monomyth and creates an abstract minimalist story. Each stage of the game represents a plot point of the monomyth. Each plot point, in turn, represents the shared trends of epic folktales that are common to nearly all cultures from around the world. The monomyth is pivotally important to the experience of the game, enough for the developers to represent the monomyth 3 distinct times in a single playthrough. Once in the cutscenes and murals showing the white-robed figures creating the path. Once as we progress through the game ourselves, and once again when the final stage reflects each stage we just played. The Call to Adventure, the Threshold Guardian, the Road of Trials, Atonement with the Abyss, Apotheosis, and the Return. Whereas the stages in the game represent plot points of the monomyth, other players take the role of important characters in the hero's journey, such as the Helper, the Sage, and the Tempter. We, in turn, fill those roles for other players, but what is more amazing is that we do so naturally and intuitively through the distinct ways that people play. When we try to help others overcome obstacles or avoid threats, we are the Helper, guiding the protagonist along each step of the adventure. When showing someone an obscure secret we have uncovered, the location of a glyph, a mural, a hidden flower, or a mysterious creature, we are the Sage, imparting wisdom that allows the protagonist to reach their achievements. When randomly exploring and goofing around with the mechanics, we are the Tempter, distracting the protagonist from the intended path. To simultaneously be the hero of an epic quest in your own story, while being the supporting character of another hero, is an artistic sensation unfelt in other media, nor in any other game I have played. Journey is a multiplayer game, but you may never choose who to play with. Instead, you are randomly placed within the games of other people. Unlike other social games, Journey has no systems for establishing a group, a guild, or a friends list. Journey is a game where you are made to play with strangers. Only the agency of how physically distant or close you are with that stranger determines if you continue playing together. The minimalism of Journey's approach strips everything that is unique from the player. A distinct voice, a specific name, a certain fashion or culture, and thus you cannot know who you are playing with before you have finished the game with them. But Journey leaves intact everything that is shared between us. curiosity to uncover the truth, the desire for connection when faced with the vastness of nature or the cold embrace of fear, the affect of music to stir your emotions, to bring faceless strangers from around the world to share the same profound experience of art. They needed a story that was ingrained in the human psyche itself on the deepest cultural level. They needed the monomyth to be real. The message of Journey is that anyone can come together with anybody and accomplish something, even if that something is as small as playing a game together. The game itself does not preach this message directly to the player, nor even make it apparent. However, knowing that Journey exists, that complete strangers can share this game in friendship, does teach this lesson. That so many people have played and enjoyed this game together, regardless of cultural bigotry, political oppression, religious intolerance, or any other form of hatred. Remembering that this game exists reminds us that all of humanity shares something innate, something at our core, like soldiers playing a game of soccer on Christmas Day, because we all share in the same journey. Thank you for watching, my friends. If you have enjoyed this video about how humanity shares a special and mysterious bond, you might also enjoy my video on how Yoko Taro argues for how humanity is not special nor exceptional in Nier Automata by clicking the end card here. In the Philosophy of Games series, we normally treat video games as a work of scholarship, analyzing the values presented within a game and how a game creates an argument through gameplay. And if you'd like to continue the conversation with other like-minded people, you can join the Discord server with the link in the description. I will see you at the next video, and remember, stay true.